Hi, I'm Nate Newton of the Dallas Cowboys, better known as The Kitchen. After this great traditional game, I'm going home to my real kitchen and have me a big turkey. And I want to wish y'all a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Dallas, Texas. Watch this.
Gobbled up again, Brady James. And he comes up doing a little turkey gobble wobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble. And he comes up, turkey gobble wobble, flapping his arms like a turkey.
A great traditional holiday like Thanksgiving and football like we have today with two top teams in the NFC.
Guys, just start pulling the turkey legs off. Pull them off. Nate, just grab them off and give them to the guys. Start getting them turkey legs.
Let's be thankful giving these the ass whoop. Today is the day.
Happy Thanksgiving, my man.
Let's go!
You Giants, we'll make turkey like you Giants. We'll see you back to New York where you belong.
Hey, tell them it's gonna be a good Thanksgiving. We finna eat good.
Happy Thanksgiving! Happy Thanksgiving!
On behalf of the Dallas Cowboys, I would like to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving Day.
There are just some things in life that were meant to go hand in hand. Turkey and dressing, mashed potatoes and gravy, macaroni and cheese, and today, of course, Cowboys football and Thanksgiving. Back at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, hosting a battle for second place in the NFC East. Wearing the throwback helmets, it's a throwback type of matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Welcome in to Cowboys Pregame Live, everybody, alongside Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. And, of course, happy Thanksgiving to everybody in here and our crew as well. It is a great holiday. It always has been, and it's always been synonymous with football. And the way that things have conspired, of course, through the years, the Dallas Cowboys hosting game number 55 in 57 years on Thanksgiving. It is a tradition, and it's got a little heightened matchup this week with the New York Giants coming to town.
Without a doubt, this is a huge game coming up for the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Last go around, the Cowboys won the game. It was a close game. It was a tight game. But this go around, you got your QB1 in the building, Dak Prescott. I don't think it'll be as close as it once was, but both of these players fighting for second place, sole possession of second place in the NFC East. It's a huge showdown.
Yeah, you talked about it, Barry. You talked about the divisional woes, right? Going head to head with the Giants. We know we don't like them doggone Giants around here, but it's going down today simply because of the fact that we haven't won since 2018 on Thanksgiving. Not only that, but you add in the added element that we are trying to make sure that we don't have to have a tiebreaker situation with the Giants. We need to make sure we have 2 victories over them, and so that we can go ahead and take over this division, NFC East.
Wow. I played in a lot of these Thanksgiving games, and this one here is the most important. Like you guys say, playing these Giants for a second time, for the total second place in this league, in our division, fellas, be tough, play hard, and wipe the floor with them.
Get after him, Nate Newton. And you are also synonymous with Thanksgiving as well, thanks to John Madden. Of course, the NFL around the league this year honoring John Madden with the John Madden Thanksgiving celebration, and certainly somebody that was very close to you, Nate Newton.
Yeah, I love him to death, man. As you see the turducken and just doing the things we do, man, we always tried to win for Big John because he made it big around here.
Yeah, he definitely did. Now, Nate, this is also a Thanksgiving matchup, like we just said, with some heightened divisional reasons, storylines around it. What is the pressure like playing on Thanksgiving just by itself, because all eyes are on the NFL this day and age?
For these young guys, I don't know, but for us, this was in our DNA. Like you say, 55 out of 57 years, this is what we do. We know how to prepare. Everything is at home. We don't lose a game. This is what the Cowboys do. Let's go, man.
Hey, you guys heard Nate Dogg right here getting hyped, about to get me ready to get ready for this thing popping. Anyways, hey, listen, the Dallas Cowboys, this is what you guys do, as Nate said, but one of the things that is most important is that your family's going to be there. You're at the home game, okay? You call in everybody. Everybody flies in. You have your section. You got however many tickets you had. I know Nate probably had about 50 of them, right? But you got your whole little family section, and you want to show out. Not only do you want to show out, but we just talked about how the divisional woe, and we talked about how they haven't had a victory in a long time on this particular day. Let's go ahead and change that up, fellas.
Yeah, without a doubt, playing on Thanksgiving, it's huge. It's huge, but I don't think there's any added pressure for this Dallas Cowboys team because we understand they play on prime time all the time, and I don't see there's any big difference between Thanksgiving and prime time. What we talked about with that pressure coming is a divisional game, sole possession of second place on the line. That's where the pressure is going to come from. But to me, Mike McCarthy, he's done an amazing job all season of making sure this team is prepared and ready to play when kickoff starts, and I don't think see things changing this week.
There may be some added pressure because of expectation as well. Coming off of a win in Week 11, 40-3 over the Minnesota Vikings. That was a Minnesota team that entered that game 8-1. Dallas absolutely dismantled the Vikings on the road. Now they return home against a divisional foe, and now everybody's talking Super Bowl because of the way that win happened. Yeah, I said it, because that's how big that win was. But here's Mike McCarthy on trying to handle that pressure, that expectation that's starting to close in on this Cowboys team.
You know, my reality in this, and really the team's reality, is, you know, we addressed those questions at the beginning of the year back in training camp. So we understand what our goal is for the year. That hasn't changed. But our focus as a team is, if we're talking about anything other than the Giants, we're wasting our time. So this is a quick week. This is a division game. It's an important game. We clearly understand what their record is and what our record is. So this is about beating the Giants.
Class of Voice Telegram. How different are the Giants this time than last time?
Schematically, or no? I think there's definitely similarities, but I think you have to be just real impressed with their blueprint. They're doing a real good job holding the ball. I think situational defense is a real strength of theirs, and they're winning games at the end. So they've been in every game's been tight, and they've won a lot of games at the end, which speaks to game management and things like that. So they've been playing really good football.
You're a different team, obviously, with Dak. How different are you guys, and how much can that first game be a blueprint for you guys?
Well, I mean, it's still a blueprint. I mean, we watched it. We're just watching it with the quarterback, so that's part of the cut-ups. So I mean, again, the biggest thing about these games is just really dialing into the who you're playing against, and what position. We understand the multiplicity of scheme on both their offense and defense. So that won't change. So there'll definitely be a heavy scheme game as far as how they come after us. But obviously they've had injuries yesterday, so we're just really focusing on who's playing where and how we feel like they're going to line up against us.
That's Mike McCarthy earlier in the week about looking at the expectations for this Cowboys team and what they were going to do, of course, after their big-time win, 40-3 last week against the Minnesota Vikings. And they're going to have to do it without a couple of the same pieces. The inactive list for the Dallas Cowboys this week involves a couple guys that were expected to start. Anthony Barr, of course, he had a setback last Saturday, re-aggravated a hamstring injury. He is inactive again this week on the short week. Kelvin Joseph, due to illness, not available to play. Takk McKinley, who was brought up from the practice squad, he's now unavailable to play. It was expected he was going to be active. And then Jonathan Hankins, who, of course, the Cowboys traded for earlier in the season, he is unavailable as well in the middle. There's been a virus and illness going around the defensive room here at the Star in Frisco, so certainly having Dan Quinn and company to make some extra adjustments along the way on the personnel to find a way to fill in that roster against the Giants today. And speaking of that matchup and speaking of the challenges at hand, let's go back out to AT&T Stadium, where we are now joined by Nick Eatman on the sideline. Nick, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. What's your favorite Thanksgiving memory? Because you've been around this game, this team for quite some time now.
Well, I mean, I was doing some counting the other day, and it's been 25 years. This is my 25th one, and so the first one, I mean, Randy Moss, a rookie from, he only caught 3 passes in the game, but he did have like 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I haven't missed one since. And so, I mean, there's been a lot of cool things that have happened along the way. It seems like something memorable is always, going to occur in a game like this. The Cowboys obviously need to get back on the winning ways on Thanksgiving, but I just love everything that this game is about. You know, everybody has their own tradition where they watch the games at home or with their family or whatever, but somebody has to be here. Somebody has to play the games. Somebody has to work the games, and so it's really an honor to just be a part of it.
Yeah, it really is. Hey, that's a quarter century of Cowboys football on Thanksgiving. Congratulations on that. That's a big-time anniversary for you. Now, let's talk about some of the players that are going to be missing for the Cowboys today. Kelvin Joseph, who was expected to play some significant snaps at the cornerback position. Jonathan Hankins. Takk McKinley, who was expected to be elevated in his first game as a Cowboy. How much are these guys going to be missed on the defensive side of the football?
Well, I think to go with the Takk McKinley thing, you know, you have to elevate practice squad players on Saturday. And at the time, if you look at Friday, I believe DeMarcus Lawrence was on the injury report with an illness. Dante Fowler as well, maybe Odigizua. So, and a lot more guys that actually stayed on there. So I think that was kind of a situation. If they needed him, he would be there. I don't know if there was a setback there. I just think that's when they had to make that call up. And they did get some of the guys, some of their veteran players that were healthy there. But, you know, Kelvin Joseph's big on special teams. We know that. I think at cornerback, I think they'll be fine with him not out there. He's struggled, I think, on the outside. Everyone holds their breath when he's there. But you know, from a special teams standpoint, you know, it's certainly a situation where the depth will linger.
So you talked about having DeMarcus Lawrence, Dante Fowler Jr., and Osa Odigizua off of the injury report. All three of those guys active. That's a huge plus for this Cowboys team. But for the guys who are out, who has to step up in their place to try and make sure, like, for instance, Kelvin Joseph on special teams, that spot is still filled in quite nicely?
Well, I think, you know, you look at guys, you know, like Noah Brown at wide receiver. You know, they'll have Deron Bland will probably do some of that as well, like from the gunner standpoint. You know, again, talking about special teams, I mean, Luke Gifford doesn't play the same spot, but obviously goes down there and he's made some plays. And so field position is always important in big games like this, where, you know, I do think that this will not be an exception to that. I think that Anger, as the punter, is going to have to really do a nice job with that, getting those punts up. If they punt, you know, last week they didn't punt till like the third or fourth quarter, so that's always a good way to avoid that. But I think for the most part, special teams and field position is going to be important.
Nick Eatman checking in with us here from AT&T Stadium. We'll talk to you again later on in the show. Now joined by Nate Newton here to talk about some of these inactives. And let's start with Anthony Barr. Of course, Barr not available for the Cowboys today. It was something to keep in mind because they had to step in with Damone Clark last time out as well. So keep that in mind as you move in to seeing a rookie again playing significant snaps. How big is it to have Anthony Barr not in the fold?
How big is for him not to be in the fold? I really don't know. I mean, Anthony Barr was playing okay, but I like Damone Clark and I like Jabril Cox and I like that they're doing what they need to do because I like young guys and they're making a few mistakes, but they're playing okay. Now, you have a veteran presence, a guy that know how to line up folks. You may miss that a little bit, but I think these guys will be all right.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Anthony Barr, of course, he was almost able to make his return last week against Minnesota to find a way to get him in the fold against his former team. Now, he's not available today. Damone Clark came in, played over 40 snaps on the defensive side of the football. It's the second time this year that Damone Clark has had to come in. And so even as a rookie, he missed the first half of the season with an injury, then came back into the fold and played these snaps over these last couple of weeks. But he's only played 4 games as an NFL player. If you're looking at Damone Clark and some of the expectations they have for him as a rookie, how much has he lived up to those expectations early on?
I think he's doing good. He missed all of training camp with his injury. He missed all of OTAs. He came about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Yeah. He's doing a great job. I mean, he's still learning how to read and how to react. He's a little hesitant on certain plays, but this guy's an athlete. He's a hitter, and he's eager to learn.
Has he done anything that has impressed you up to this point that could maybe build on, or he could build on for the rest of the season?
Yes, he's just learning. And when I see him, like I say, sometimes he'll be out of place, but sometimes he'll come up. He's a sure tackler. He don't miss tackles. When he knows what to do and know where to be, he's there and on point.
Yeah, it's a big thing for a rookie to show early on. Dan Quinn certainly deserves some credit for finding him in the draft, making the pick, and then even sticking with him through the injury to allow him to be successful. Now, he's going up against, as a front seven, an offensive line for the Giants that is really, really banged up. 6 out of their 9 starters out of the offensive line and the secondary unavailable, including 4 guys on the offensive line that have made a start for Brian Daboll and company. Is this a game where the pure advantage for the Cowboys is up front?
Oh, yeah, we should win this. Defensively, our defensive line, even though we had some illness during the week, we got Osa back, we got Gallimore back, we got Bohannon. They should control that, especially the interior of their offensive line because they're missing a center in both their guards. So we should control that. These linebackers should be able to run freely and come downhill and make some big plays and make sure we keep that umbrella on Barkley.
And you, of course, playing on the offensive line throughout much of your career, they're missing 3 guys that didn't even make the trip that are normal starters. Josh Azudu, he had a neck injury. John Feliciano, he also had a neck injury, and then an illness for Evan Neal, the first-round draft pick out of Alabama. How big of a roadblock is that for New York, a team that has 7 wins, is 7-3, very much so in the hunt for a playoff spot, but they have so many injuries up front?
You know, their coach is going to, Coach Daboll, the head coach, he's going to play this by the numbers. He's going to try to, run the ball every chance he get. He's going to play action pass when he have opportunity. They're going to have to run the ball because trying to pass block with no continuity with a bunch of new guys up there, that is total disaster.
It is disaster, and it could be a disaster incoming. We're going to talk more about that defensive front seven for the Cowboys and how they can take advantage of that against the Giants, because this is a different matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants than we saw in Week 3. 23-16 was the final score. The Cowboys came out on top in that one, but Coach Brian Daboll knows that there are some different challenges at hand.
Well, I think they've always been a good offense. They have a lot of good skill players. I think their roster construction has been really good with really offense, defense, and the kicking game. This is a dynamic team, I'd say, in every area. They got great skill players. When I say skill players, I also include defensive ends who are, skill players. Explosive, scored a lot of points, obviously, last week. 7 sacks, 40 points against an 8-1 team at their place. It would be a huge challenge.
I know you always want to run the ball, but with that pass rush and their defense in particular, how much maybe more important does that even become this week for you guys?
Well, really, Jordan, I think it's execution. Because if you get into passing situations against this team, just put on the tape, there's a ton of negative plays. So if you're playing a game in 3rd and long and 2nd and long, or you get behind where you got to try to make up ground, that's a bad spot to be in against this team.
Not going to be easy for a patchwork offensive line going up against this Dallas front seven. Back here with Barry Church and Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans. This is a pass rush for the Cowboys that right now has 42 sacks on the year. That's the most by any defense in the last 20 years through their first 10 games of a season. The only team that was close was the 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars.
They call it Saxonville for a reason.
Yeah,
I'm just
Barry
saying.
Church was on that team, so of course we're going to hear a little bit about that. They had 40 sacks at this point in the season, but is this where Dallas has the biggest advantage, going up against an offensive line that has a ton of holes in it?
Oh, without a doubt. I think this front seven is playing unbelievable football right now. Dan Quinn has this unit flying around on all cylinders, and to me what makes this unit special is the waves upon waves of pass rushers they can throw at opposing offenses, from Parsons and D-Law all the way down to Armstrong and Fowler and everybody in between. They give opposing offensive linemen no time to rest because the drop-off in production is not significant from your starters to your rotational players, and I think that's what makes this defense so hard to game plan for, and I think they're going to make things hard for Daniel Jones out there this afternoon.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Barry. I think these guys are going to be in a world of trouble against this defensive front for the Dallas Cowboys. These guys, as you already mentioned, Kyle, are leading the league up there with the sacks, but also they're also number 1 in the league in terms of lowest points allowed per game at 16.7 points a game. So you have that combination of forcing teams into long 3rd down situations. You let your dogs loose, let your skill set, this three deep defensive line go out there and do what they do best, and that's always going to be the result, especially when you have Danny Dimes sitting on the other side.
Yeah, and 5 sacks against Daniel Jones and company back in Week 3 of the season. And Daniel Jones is somebody that, of course, has had a great season to this point. 7-3, led the Giants to that point in the year, and then he's coming up against that Cowboys defense that has given him so many different problems throughout the years. What's different about Daniel Jones this time around? How can Dallas continue to pressure him into mistakes?
Well, I'll tell you what's different about him. I think he's taking care of the football a little bit more. All right, we've seen him in the past. He was a walking turnover, whether it's fumbling the ball or throwing an interception. But in order to make sure you pressure this guy into making mistakes, copy and paste exactly what you did last week. All right, get after the quarterback and make things hard for Daniel Dimes back there. And as far as the secondary is concerned, disguise your intentions. I'm sure Joe Witt Jr. and Al Harris out there are making sure these guys are disguising, because I'm telling you, Isaiah, if they do that, I'm 99.9% sure Danny Dimes will go throw you one, maybe even 2 interceptions.
I don't disagree with you. I just don't want that 0.01% that show up. And the thing is, continue to do what you do last week, as you mentioned, but also do what you did last time you faced him. Last time you faced him, he only had 54% in terms of completion rate when he decided to throw the ball. Where he did hurt you at, though, was those broken plays, those scrambles, right? Those extended plays where you not necessarily lose containment, because everybody thinks about containment, defensive ends getting up the field and boxing a guy in, but he was able to step up and out the pocket a lot of times and ended up running 9 times for 79 yards. That's what hurt you, extending those drives, picking up those third down conversions. So continue to keep this running game at a minimum in terms of taking away Saquon Barkley, which is his biggest asset, but also when you have an opportunity to go back there and hit him.
Yeah, Jones versus the Cowboys throughout his career, 1 win, 5 losses. He's thrown only 3 touchdown passes in those 6 games, and he's thrown 3 interceptions as well. So not great numbers against the Cowboys, and he knows there are other challenges, not only just with the star on the side of the helmet, but the personnel coming at him this week.
Yeah, they're good defense. They're fast and physical. Good pass rush up front, and good players in the back end. They're smart, instinctive, and make a lot of plays. So we'll have a plan for it. We're confident in our ability to attack them.
Daniel, what does this opportunity mean to play Thanksgiving against the Cowboys in Dallas for you, national TV?
Yeah, I think it's a huge opportunity for us. It's a divisional game against a rival and on Thanksgiving. So huge game, huge opportunity for us. And, we've got to go out and play our best ball, play as well as we can, and, see how it goes.
How important is it for this team to bounce back quickly here, Daniel?
I think it's extremely important. I think, throughout the year, we've shown ourselves as a resilient group, a tough group, mentally and physically, and this is an opportunity to show that for us.
Against Trayvon Diggs in this Dallas secondary, of course, without Kelvin Joseph, he is inactive for today's game, but Trayvon Diggs has stepped up over these last 2 games. He's allowed just 3 receptions for 29 yards on 6 targets. It hasn't been easy throwing against Trayvon Diggs ever because of the interceptions, but now he's starting to clamp down a little bit in the secondary just overall. What has he done that's impressed you this season?
Look, I understand last year he had the interceptions. He had, the 11 interceptions out there, and everybody thought that was miraculous, but he was also giving up a lot of yards out there to opposing receivers. This year, it's the complete opposite. He's still getting those interceptions, but he's locking guys down out there. You can tell by the technique he's using out there. His eyes are in the right spot, and I know last year was a lot of double moves on this guy. This year, his eyes are in the right location. He's sticking in receiver's hip pocket. Everything is contested with this guy. I think he's become a complete corner out there and one of the top 3 corners in the National Football League.
Magic word, Al Harris.
Yes.
Al Harris was a heck of a defensive back and a cornerback in the league during his time, but he's also now as his positional coach for Trayvon Diggs. And he's not only had the opportunity to sit back there and teach him over the past years, but now he's been able to pass along that wisdom. You mentioned last year the ability to turn the ball, for him to create turnovers, for him to grab interceptions, but he also was giving up those big plays. What he was lacking last year was patience. Now with wisdom and knowledge and confidence comes the patience to be able to sit back there and trust your technique, to be able to sit back there and trust your other guys on your defense to be able to make those plays for you so that you don't have to be the one that's always going out there and taking those high risk, high reward, or high risk, big time loss sometimes. So he's doing a great job just sitting back there, trusting his technique, letting it come to him. And you see him, he's getting really close to getting some more interceptions. It's going to happen, and it'll probably happen today.
So based on your experiences in the secondary, how much could a position coach help really grow you as a player? Because that's the case in college and in the high school ranks, but when you get up to the NFL, you're still a professional. How much does it make an impact?
It makes all the impact, in my opinion. I mean, you've had some coaches who've never played the game before, and then you have coaches that have played at a high level. Al Harris has played at a high level, and he's out there giving Trayvon Diggs all the little tidbits, the little things, the little knickknacks that he needs to become that better player. He needs to know where his eyes need to be. He needs to know how to be patient at the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly what Al Harris can teach him, and we see it's proving dividends so far this season.
And if that passing game can't work out for the Giants, they may have to go to the ground. Good thing they don't have anybody there to worry about, right? I mean, there's nobody on the ground game at all, right? Wrong. Saquon Barkley is having one of his best seasons, actually his best season since his rookie campaign when he was a Pro Bowler back in 2018. So I ask you the question, Isaiah, how do you contain a guy like this? He had 81 yards on the ground against Dallas in Week 3. Can they slow him down?
You phone a friend. Like old school, like the old school game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You phone a friend and you make sure that you have more than one person coming to the point of attack. The last thing you want to do is be the only man that's showing up to the party whenever Saquon Barkley is the one that's throwing it. So make sure that you have guys, make sure that you're responsible, and make sure you trust your technique and that you're savvy and sound in that regard. Be a sure tackler. A lot of times when you're facing guys like this, you want to come up and be the big hitter. You want to be the one that you've been watching film on him all week. You've seen the damage. You've seen him embarrass people, day in and day out. You want to make sure that you come up, break down, trust your technique, rely on the things that you were taught in OTAs, rely on the things that you were taught in training camp, and get your right fit, and make sure that your boy's on the other side so that you guys can in and out this guy and get him to the ground.
Without a doubt, you're 100% right, Isaiah. This game comes down to tackling and gang tackling at that. This guy can make you look like a fool in a phone booth. So I don't want guys go in there, just with shoulders, trying to big hit the guy, wrap him up, come up with a body part, and make sure you gang tackle this guy. This guy can make everybody look like the fools out there. We need to have a team meeting on top of his head each and every time we go to tackle this cat. He's a dangerous guy. Make sure we gang tackle him and wrap him up each and every occasion we get.
So all of that sounds great, but the way that Saquon Barkley plays is different than other people, right? I mean, he plays from a physical style. He breaks through tackles like that. But Dallas shut down a guy kind of similar in Dalvin Cook last week. Can what they did against Dalvin Cook translate against a guy like Saquon Barkley, or is it that different?
Without a doubt, if you have a swarming defense like they did last week in Minnesota, you can shut anybody down. But what they did last week, they trusted each other. Nobody was out there playing hero ball. You didn't see one guy trying to make every single play out there. They trusted their fellow teammates. They played together as a unit, and as a unit, they swarmed Dalvin Cook. If they can do that same thing with Saquon Barkley this afternoon, they'll have a good job of shutting him down out there.
Take care of business on first and second down. It's real simple. You take care of him on first and second down, you really don't have to worry about him on third down because he turns into a pass blocker because of the respect and regard that they have to have for your pass rush. So take him out on the first down when he decides to go up there and run the ball. If they want to go back to a Daboll, probably not going to do it because he likes to throw the ball with Danny Dimes. But if they do go back to a second down, make sure that you bust him in his chest and then turn him into a doggone pass blocker.
He's good at that, too. He can certainly do so, but I think you're exactly right. Get after him and get him early because if you can get hands on him, at least it gives you a shot, right? Yeah. Gives you a shot. Saquon Barkley against the Cowboys, he's played 7 games against Dallas, the most against any opponent in his entire career. He is 0-7 in a record against the Cowboys. He has never beaten the Cowboys in a game that Saquon Barkley has played in. Hopefully for the Cowboys' sake, they'll make it 8 straight. But we've got somebody and got to hear about somebody that's going to try and slow down Saquon Barkley. And we talked about him a little bit earlier. The rookie, Damone Clark, has had quite the journey to get to where he is in the NFL. Let's go out to AT&T Stadium where Haley Sutton has more.
Cowboys linebacker Damone Clark has only seen action in 3 games so far this season. But if you know what he's been through, you'd know just how impressive that is. After suffering the first and only injury of his career, the rookie is making the most of his time on the field.
I mean, my journey has been nothing but amazing. It obviously didn't start how I wanted it to start, but, all praise to God.
6'3", 239-pound Damone Clark was a menace in his final season at LSU. So you can imagine his confidence was pretty high ahead of this year's NFL draft. Until a meeting with the medical staff changed everything.
I mean, I found out at the combine. I didn't even know about it, to be honest with you. I mean, I felt perfectly fine. Finding out the way I found out at the time of when I found out, I mean, of course it was tough for me, but I wouldn't change it for nothing because I know he has something better for me.
That finding? A herniated disc in his neck, an injury that would require surgery to repair. Ironically enough, it was a Dallas Cowboys team physician who discovered it.
They showed me the x-rays and the MRIs, and I mean, honestly, I didn't know what I was looking at. I just heard them tell me, oh, yo, this is, you got a herniated disc. It's gonna require surgery. So, I mean, I'm thinking, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, nah, y'all got the wrong person. Like, I never been hurt before, never missed any games. I'm like, I'm good. But, I mean, it turns out that it was me.
Following the news, Clark made a call to his agent before continuing to work out in drills. And for the first time in his life, he prepared for surgery. On March 24th, he underwent a successful spinal fusion and was eventually drafted in the 5th round to America's team.
Hey, Damone, it's Jerry Jones.
How you doing?
I'm doing just fine, and we want to put a star on your helmet, buddy.
But the road to recovery was just getting started.
Not having surgery before, to sitting in the house all day, just, that was frustrating.
Clark says it was his family who helped him the most, as well as his new teammates, specifically fellow Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch, who had the same procedure done in 2019.
As you get more experience and stuff, that stuff's just gonna settle in.
The tackle came up now.
Don't think about doing too much. Just a little bit to your toolbox at a time. You're good.
How important has he been in your journey and getting on the road to recovery?
Since I got here, Leighton has been the guy that checked on me every day. Even though I wasn't playing, Leighton was the guy, asking me how am I mentally. He just kept telling me, stay prepared. Your moment gonna come.
And just as his injury was unexpected, so was his defensive debut.
A wise man always said, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. So that was my mindset, just staying ready and just make the most of every opportunity that I get. I was doing, a lot of look teams, getting my feet and stuff back under me, and AB went down in the game, and I just remember George saying, Damone, go. And I'm like, hey, it's my opportunity. Let's just make the most of it. And I just ran out there and it was happy. I was just happy to be out there.
Has it changed your perspective on the game at all?
No, I mean, I feel like I still have the same perspective. I just feel like, it wasn't my timing. God was, blocking something that wasn't for me. It's a coincidence that the Cowboys the one that told me, and that's the team that drafted me too. I'm a competitor. You can knock me down, but I ain't gonna stay down. I'm gonna get back up, and I'm gonna keep throwing punches. I'm gonna keep throwing until I can't throw them no more.
I absolutely loved my conversation with Damone Clark earlier this week, and he's not the only player the Cowboys have taken a chance on that had a major injury. Remember Jalen Smith? He had that knee injury he suffered in the Fiesta Bowl before coming back and eventually becoming a Pro Bowler for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see what Damone can do on the field this season, specifically today against the Giants here at AT&T Stadium. I'm Haley Sutton. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you very much, Haley. And it is a great story of having him back into the fold. And it was an injury, of course, like Haley outlined there, that was discovered by Cowboys personnel during his time at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. So a guy who was thought to be maybe a late second round, early third round pick, saw his draft stock drop. Dallas picks him up, and now he's got a chance to start as a rookie. Isaiah, I know you've gotten a chance to really know him over the last couple of months, and he's certainly left an impact on you. What type of guy is he, and what can he really bring to that defense?
Yeah, he's a great young man. I mean, this guy's a competitor. You heard him say it right there in the segment. We've been able to build a connection because of the fact that we kind of came into the league with similar situations. I was supposed to be a higher draft pick, got injured, and then I had my draft stock dropped, and I fell into the Cowboys' hands. Very similar with him. But this guy, since that diagnosis, since that surgery, all he's done is work. You could ask around the building, everybody has nothing but positive things to say about him. You talk about him being ready. You talk about, a wise man and what they told him as far as be ready so you don't have to get ready. That's what this young man was. He talked about the Chicago game. He was 40 snaps. The next game, they bumped him down to 7 snaps against the Packers. And then he came back against the Vikings with 43. He's done nothing but become more comfortable within the system. And because he's becoming more comfortable, you're starting to see his instincts start to show back up.
Now, from an X's and O's standpoint, Barry, what have you seen from Damone Clark that has showed at least a little bit of promise in his rookie season?
Oh, look, this guy has been impressive out there. I mean, he got his first game action in Chicago out there. You saw the talent out there. He did make some rookie mistakes, especially when you talk about the run defense. But then you fast forward to the Vikings game, and not only did he pop off the tape and you see the talent again, but those same mistakes he was making in Chicago, he was not making them in Minnesota. And I'll tell you what, that shows me two things. One, that you're talented, and two, you're coachable. And that's even more important from a player standpoint. So to me, this guy, the sky's the limit for the young Damone Clark out there.
You really like what you've seen too, Isaiah?
I like it. I mean, you talk about the skill set that he has. It's one thing to have the skills. It's another thing, like you said, Barry, to be coachable and actually be willing to take in that information. And the guys around him, you talked about him listening to guys like Van Der Esch. He's just going to continue to get better as he continues to get more comfortable and actually become a smarter player in this league.
Another Cowboy that flashed during his time as a rookie, but he's really exploded onto the scene as of late, is Tony Pollard. What else can you say about what Tony has done on the offensive side of the football? This is his total last week against Minnesota. Had 80 rushing yards, over 100 receiving yards. Both of those touchdowns were through the air. He has averaged 6.5 yards per carry. He's tallied 570 yards and 6 touchdowns over his last 4 games. If he were to continue that pace for a full 17-game season, 1,700 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns, 700 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns through the air as well. He's been absolutely electric.
He has been electric. That is the right word to describe Tony Pollard out there. And people ask, do you think this guy needs to get more touches? I don't believe he does, because I think Zeke still has an immense value to this team as not only the tenderizer, but one of your best pass protectors out there. But what his performance last week showed me was that the Cowboys cannot let this man go in free agency. They have to do whatever they can to make sure they bring Tony Pollard back and he has that star on his helmet, because he is too explosive of a weapon to let walk out the front door.
What you saw last week was them proving that they have probably the best two-headed monster in the league. And that's what you saw with Tony Pollard. You already addressed, should he get more touches? I agree with you. I don't think he should get more touches, because I think this is a two-man combination. I had an opportunity to talk to the running backs coach Skip Pete, and I asked him, a very similar question. Hey, what do you have to say about these guys, saying that one guy should be playing more than the other? He said these dudes are a pair. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. Like, you can't separate the two of them. Like, they need to stay together. And he actually laughed about that, because this is like a comical statement that people think that these guys should be separate or one should get more than the other. These guys are a great tandem. Let them be that. Let them be impactful. Let them continue to help these teams win.
And that's something that both Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott have continued to reiterate in their own right. They said it both earlier in the week.
On those defenses, just defend the 2 different styles. You get used to one style. Next thing you know, I got another fresh back coming in, and I think it's just tough, and I think it's good for this offense.
With Dak missing time early, then you miss some time. How good do you feel about where this offense is right now and how it's playing, and what the ceiling is for this group with where you are?
I feel really good at the direction we're going. I missed some time, Dak missed some time, MG missed some time, but I slowly see our pieces falling together. You see MG going out there and making some tough catches that he necessarily hasn't had the opportunities to make since he's been back from his ACL, and so I think just seeing stuff like that. Getting reps like that is kind of, getting us used to making those tough plays and preparing us, just for down the road.
How much of it is what you two did in that game a perfect example of just how compatible the both of you are and how unique your skill sets are?
It's big, when both of us out there, having the type of game that we had, in the offensive line out there working how they did. It just helps the whole team go, helps the whole offense go, and everything gets to flowing.
How impressed are you with how Zeke has handled your emergence and the fact that your bigger role comes kind of at his expense? Guy was a 2-time rushing champion, and yet seems to have no issue whatsoever with your expanded role.
It just shows, how selfless of a player he is, and how much he is team first. Everything he does is about the team, and that's a perfect example.
And if your loved ones out there want to play like Pollard and Zeke one day or cheer like a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, you can register today for one-day football and dance academy camps at AT&T Stadium. They've got some on December 20th and the 21st. You can use the code XMAS, XMAS 25, all capital letters, to get $25 off when you register by December 2nd at dallascowboys.com/academy. So plenty of opportunities for you and your loved ones to get involved with the Cowboys cheerleaders and, of course, Dallas Cowboys football. Now, we have a very special Thanksgiving treat for you guys. Let's go back out to AT&T Stadium, where not only are we about to play a matchup between the Giants and the Cowboys, but the stars are out in Arlington. Nick Eatman and Haley Sutton joining the cast and the director of the brand new movie Devotion.
Thank you, Kyle. And we are joined by a cast of characters here. The cast of Devotion is here. The new movie coming out. We got all different kinds of actors here, singers, entertainers, directors. We're going to start this off here. We got J.D. Dillard. Why don't you come over here, J.D., and just tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about this movie. You're first up. Tell us what's going on with the movie Devotion and why it's so important to you.
Well, Devotion is a story of Jesse Brown and his wingman, Top Hunter. Jesse Brown was the Navy's first black aviator in the Navy. And it's a story about their brothership, two men learning to trust each other as a conflict is starting. So we're so excited to be coming out today, Thanksgiving. Feels like the kind of movie you take your family to see because it's really it's a pretty inspirational story seeing what the men did for each other.
I want to bring in Jonathan here. Jonathan, obviously, this is an exciting movie. Round of applause. Jonathan, for you, this is obviously an exciting movie to be a part of. Just talk about your role in this and the preparation it took for you to be prepared for this role.
Wow, so I have the honor of playing Jesse Brown, Ensign Jesse Leroy Brown, a young fella from Mississippi who made his way up to the sky. He's a hero, it's incredible to be here. It's incredible. I mean, the film came out yesterday, so we're feeling good. And he was in battle with this gentleman who played, come here, who played who played Tom Hutner, Glenn Powell. And between the two of us, this teamship kind of built a legacy. Changed our military, pushed these families to the forefront, and pushed this movie into being what it is.
And Glenn, for you, obviously Jonathan just spoke about what this movie meant to him. What did it mean to you to be a part of such a historic movie?
I mean, I think this movie says all the right things about the world, America, humanity, and how far you're willing to go for your friends and your wingman. And no, I think America needs this movie right now, and I'm really happy it's coming out on Thanksgiving. I think it's the perfect family movie.
Were you okay when they asked you to be a pilot? I mean, have you ever done anything like that in a movie before?
I rarely take off my flight suit these days. This is just sort of how I sleep. But I'll say this movie, the flight suits are the same, the planes are very different.
All right. Hey, awesome. Obviously referring to Top Gun Maverick, Hangman right here gets to hang with that. And I gotta tell you, you look good.
I am good. I'm very good.
I want to bring in Joe Jonas if we have some time too. Joe, pop on over here.
Gonna bring in Joe Jonas in.
Joe, obviously for you, you've got a busy afternoon. You're performing today. You're part of this movie. What's the atmosphere been like for you here at AT&T Stadium?
It feels incredible. I mean, to be able to speak to family and friends, they're going to go see Devotion today after the game. They're not going while the game's happening. And the energy here is amazing. I mean, the Giants fans and the Cowboy fans together in one room doesn't happen often. And this place feels electric already. It's not even full yet, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be a battle.
So do we... Cowboys fan, is this a Dak Prescott jersey? Big Cowboys fan? Okay, what are your predictions for this game? What are your expectations?
I mean, Cowboys look as good as they have all season. We got Pollard and Zeke are doing in true wingman form, splitting touches. Everybody looks great. The defense is shutting everything down. And, I mean, what we did to the Vikings last week, I mean, I have high expectations for the Cowboys today.
All right, I'm going to bring in another actor here, Spencer Neville, and he...
Round of applause for Spencer
He's
Neville.
kind of neutral here, Cowboys, Giants. He says neither was his team.
What's that?
Titans is your team.
Titans are my team. I'm from Nashville.
No, but he's a neutral party to this game. So what do you think of what's going to happen in this game? You really have no dog in the fight.
I've got no dog in the fight, but I'm with my boy. Well, it's a split decision here, actually. We got two Cowboys. He's a Giants fan.
Okay.
I know he's
just a fan of good football.
John, what are you? Who's your team? Cowboys?
Cowboys.
All right, I got to go with the Cowboys.
You're going with the Cowboys. All right.
I got to be a good wingman.
All right. Guys, that is the cast of Devotion. Make sure and check it out when it hits the theaters. Kyle, back to you.
Now that was an interview. How about that? I mean, look at the star power that's there. You've got multiple awards, actors that are being involved in that movie. And then how about Glenn Powell? Of course, he was Hangman in Top Gun Maverick, and he's sitting there wearing the Dak Prescott jersey, saying, "I am good." And he's probably watched Pregame Live a couple times, right? I mean, he's a Cowboys fan. He's got the jersey on. He must be watching Pregame Live. At least I would with Barry Church. Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. He had the Dak Prescott jersey on, so it gives us a perfect transition. Dak Prescott has absolutely dominated the last couple weeks, but also against the Giants all time. This was his number against the Minnesota Vikings in that 40-3 win last week. He just had a couple touchdowns. That could have been a much higher scoring game, but really everybody around him. But his record against the Giants, 9-2 all time. 21 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, did not play against them in week 3. He has not lost against New York since his rookie season in 2016. So, Barry, when you look at Dak Prescott, how can he build off of that momentum from his game last week?
Well, you might as well say it's 10-2 because this offense right now, they're flying on all cylinders. I mean, Dak Prescott, he seems cool, calm, and collected and has complete control over this offense. They're running that same formula that they did when he was out there, when he was not in the game and Cooper Rush was playing. They're leaning to their strengths, which is the run game and using that play action. And we all know Dak Prescott is a superb play action quarterback out there. He's been amazingly accurate so far this season. Can't wait to see what he can do to this damaged New York Giants team.
They are definitely damaged, too. But you hit it right on the head, Barry. You know what type of quarterback Dak Prescott is. This is not a bad thing. He's a play-action quarterback. So in order for Dak Prescott to have the best asset is to make sure that he has a great running game. If he does not have that for whatever reason, because Big Leonard Williams is now playing in this game, he wasn't there last time, then you're going to force Dak Prescott to sit back there and throw the ball 40-plus times and ask Kellen Moore to get into his bag. That's not the situation I want to see. I want to see Dak coming off the play action. I want to see this team make sure they run the ball at least 40 times a day.
30. That's his cutoff number passes. He was 22 for 25 last week. He was efficient. He had great communication with his receivers and his tight end. He used Tony Pollard coming out of that backfield, throwing it to him. Dak, you special, boy. Keep doing it. You special.
He's been playing really well,
Yes.
and you could see the connection and the communication growing between him and his wide receivers these last few weeks, and it really kind of came to a peak last week against Minnesota. But that may not be just it. There may be some more help on the way. Here's Dak Prescott on the potential of maybe a free agent joining the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing like that, and you're able to add a talent like Odell. That can be special. Obviously, it just creates more weapons for not only me but for this offense, for the play caller, and more things for the defense to worry about. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're getting him in. Hopefully, everything's going great in the recruiting process. He knows how much I've won him here, and a lot of these guys in this locker room I've seen have reached out on their own and in different ways to make sure that, he understands that this is a team that he can help, and we want him to come help. I can't say constant, but yeah, definitely have sent some messages, been a little back and forth, just making sure he understands that, yeah, that we want him here, and that, as I said before, I understand it's a business, but right now I guess it's who can recruit better, and yeah, I don't know necessarily about what he's looking for when it comes to the numbers and long term and all that, but I know that we want him here and hoping it all works out.
What's your sense of his interest in being here?
Mutual, honestly mutual. And that's the reason I say business, is knowing it's more than just somebody's feelings of wanting to be somewhere. So, yeah, understanding that will come into play, but feeling like it's mutual.
So mutual interest between the Dallas Cowboys and Odell Beckham Jr. That's not a surprise. However, it continues to carry on because the reports out there at the moment that Odell Beckham Jr. will meet with 2 teams this week, the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. And, of course, both of those teams will play this week. Has this turned into the Beckham Bowl 2022? Whoever wins this game gets Odell Beckham Jr. We don't know if that's the case. He could very easily turn out any way he could. He could go to any other team in the NFL. But, guys, it's more fun to talk about it as a winner-takes-all sort of situation. So what are your thoughts on the potential of getting Odell Beckham Jr. with a win today?
Look, to me, it's simple. All right, if you want a chance to win a Super Bowl, if you want a chance to go ahead and cement your legacy as a 2-time Super Bowl champion, then you come to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if you want to go ahead and kind of be the man still, kind of get that New York flashy and all that good stuff, then you go to the Giants. But if you want a chance to win, you know where to come. Just come to Dallas, man.
Isaiah won a ring with New York, though.
I did
It's
win a
possible. It
I
happened.
did. It's possible. But listen up, man. This is the thing. Odell Beckham is really clear, okay? If you want to be on the best team, it's very obvious you go to Dallas. If you want the best opportunity for you to get the ball more times, then go to the Giants. But ultimately, this is going to come down to whether you want more money or whether you want a real shot at winning a Super Bowl. Because even though these not the rosters, but these doggone records are the same, 7-3, these are not the same teams, okay? Do you want to win? If you do, Holla at your boys.
They say New York is the mecca of the world, but come on. You know Dallas, Texas is it. Odell, not a big fan of you coming, but if Mr. Jones wants you, you will be here.
Okay, but here's the real kicker. I mean, Isaiah won a Super Bowl with the Giants. I mean, look at what the lapel pin that he's got on. It's a Cowboys helmet, and it's not a Giants helmet. I just had to throw it out there. Now, with all of the recruiting and all of the conversation that's been around this free agent wide receiver, he's got a big name for a reason. He's a great player. However, how have we gotten to this point without upsetting or offending anybody in the wide receiver room? Because it feels like it's a collective effort.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think it's extremely disrespectful, the way that the teammates are going out there recruiting this guy. I understand if you want him to come to your team, but you got to do that in private. There's no reason to go out there in social media and blast saying, we need this guy, we need this guy. Because what are you showing your number 3 receiver, Noah Brown, who's been nothing but a professional out there, making sure he makes the plays, does all the dirty work? What are you showing him out there by saying we need this guy, that his play isn't good enough? I think it's extremely disrespectful. But, hey, I'm not in that locker room.
I hear you, Barry, and I'm not mad at you. But guess what? It's a different age.
Yeah.
It's a different age. We're no longer on the field, and social media is the way to go. Everything's on is PDA, public display of affection. You know what I mean? So that's how this generation rolls. Back in our day, we had MySpace. Now everything else is on Twitter and everything else. But one of the things that you guys have to worry about is the fact that every player understands who they are. Every player understands what they bring to the table. Noah Brown knows that he's a physical receiver, that he's a possession receiver. You got CeeDee Lamb, who knows he's supposed to be the guy. You bring Odell Beckham into the locker room simply because of the fact that he's a big play guy. He's not going to look for all the opportunities, but you need him for those 1 to 3 plays per game that really put you over the edge. That's the reason why he comes here, and that's why everybody's recruiting him.
I have nothing more to add to that, but it's about the team concept. If guys feel good about it collectively, I'm down with it, but you have to watch out. CeeDee Lamb, what does this mean for him? Noah, what does it mean and more importantly, Michael Gallup? I mean, coaches, you have to take that into consideration. Ownership, you do have to take that into consideration. And if you talk to these guys, even if you don't, make sure your locker room is good with it, because Jimmy Johnson always believed if the hand is strong, as a fist, it's better than 5 fingers.
Yeah. And it's been a conversation back and forth between the front office, between the players, between the coaching staff on whether or not he would be a good fit here. It still hasn't been made yet. No decisions have been made, but it has been a topic of conversation for quite some time. Maybe he likes the throwback uniforms. I mean, those look really nice behind us. They're pretty phenomenal. First year back with the throwback uniforms in quite some time here on Thanksgiving. But big decisions to be made on the front office side of things these next couple days. And a member of that front office, Stephen Jones, now catches up with our very own Nick Eatman.
Thanks again, Kyle. And this time we've got Stephen Jones, as always, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. It's been a busy sideline here, as it always is, but especially on Thanksgiving. And I'll just give you the opportunity, Stephen, to just tell us what this game has always meant to you, the organization, and your family.
Well, as we know, Thanksgiving is about being grateful and thankful, in particular for family, but friends, and certainly to be able to come out here and play football on Thanksgiving Day. While a lot of our fans are enjoying their families, sitting around, hopefully having amazing Thanksgiving meals, we're out here getting to do what we love, which is play football, and we're getting some good eating too as we move through it. But we'll get the great thing about this, you get the weekend off to go hang out with your family for Thanksgiving weekend. But, it's an honor and a privilege to get to play on this day, and certainly means a lot to our family, and know our fans enjoy it.
What is the go-to must-have side dish at for you, at your family, but especially for you?
Well, both of my grandmothers each had a very unique dressing, turkey dressing, a stuffing, if you will. And one was real spicy, and one just was outstanding. And we make both of those every Thanksgiving. I look forward to getting in the middle of that.
All right. Let's talk football. This game always matters. But now you've got division rival, you've got records that are both the same, and up there right in the playoff potential matchup here for down the road in the playoffs. How important is it now, because you've got everything on the line?
Well, anytime you play the NFC East, it's big, and certainly the Giants, whether it's Giants, Redskins, Eagles, it doesn't get any bigger than that, and you usually throw out the records. But this case, we don't have to, because as you said, we're identical records, 7-3, tied for second place. Both of us chasing the Eagles. They've got a really good football team. We feel like we've got a good football team. Should make for a great matchup. Obviously, we got to do what we do best, which is play complementary football, run the football, and let that defense make good plays. And then when Dak needs to, he'll step up and hopefully do what he's been doing the last 3 games. We'll get some good points on the board, and hopefully it'll be enough to win the game.
Kind of a flu bug has been rolling around the locker room, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You feel confident that the guys that are going to be able to play in this game will be 100%? Absolutely.
We got most of them healthy, got them ready to go. Jim and our medical staff did a great job of getting them well. We are going to be missing a couple guys, Hankins in particular there in the middle. Is not going to get back for this game, and then Basham as well, and then Kelvin Joseph will probably miss again. But hopefully those guys will get well over the 10-day break. Hopefully we'll get everybody healthy and ready to go.
All right, thank you so much. That's Stephen Jones. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Throw it back to you guys in the crew.
Thank you very much, Nick Eatman and Stephen Jones out at AT&T Stadium. It is a tradition unlike any other. It is Thanksgiving and Dallas Cowboys football as the Cowboys get ready to host the New York Giants. And I know you guys are up here. You're not necessarily eating your Thanksgiving dinner just yet. We'll have some at some point down the line, and I can't wait for that. But what are you most thankful for every holiday season?
I got to be thankful for my family, my kids, my health, their health. And I'm thankful for all you guys, man, coming in here. Let me talk football each and every Sunday, man. It's an amazing feeling, man. So I'm thankful for a lot of things, and I'm glad to have you guys around, man, without a doubt.
Oh, that's so sweet. No, I'm thankful for my fam. I'm thankful for my relationship with the man upstairs, and having the ability to be able to wake up every day and talk football and do what I do every day.
God, family, and life, man. And I love you guys, man. Wow. Real precious.
He means that, I promise. I promise he means it. I'm thankful for my family, my health as well, their health, and then, of course, the Lord upstairs as well and the relationship there. But I'm also thankful for Cowboys Nation, everybody that tunes in every week, whether it's this show, it's all the other shows that we produce on DallasCowboys.com. We are so thankful for you and everything that you do week in, week out as diehard Cowboys fans. And I'm also thankful for our very wonderful crew in the back. And we've got a moment here to tell you happy Thanksgiving from everybody on our crew. We're going to start off with none other but than Barry Church and his family.
Yeah.
How about that? Everybody there, our very own safety Barry Church. We've got Chris Beam's family, senior editor, producer. He's on site at AT&T Stadium at the moment. We love Chris Beam. Douglas Barraclough down the way there. He's the manager of sound production. He makes us sound good, as hard as that may be, week in and week out. How about Haley Sutton, DallasCowboys.com's newest reporter and producer, coming over from Miami. She's back in Dallas. Kevin Timmons, producer and editor, his wife Miranda, and their beautiful family. We've got Demetrius Harper, a production assistant, graduate of the University of North Texas. He's in the house with us today. We've got Isaiah Stanback, resident Super Bowl champ, and his wonderful family as well. And then what about Jasmine Marshall? Does a little bit of everything around the Star in Frisco. She's running the jib camera. She's Jib Jazz. Speaking of everything, Caden Gates, he does everything behind the scenes for DallasCowboys.com. Happy Thanksgiving, Caden. Speaking of everything again, our director and studio, Mr. Do-It-All, Matt Kent. He is a huge piece of all of our productions. William Boykins, he's our webmaster who gets us on the air every single day. And then Scott Purcell, director of broadcasting here with the Dallas Cowboys. If you need a job, just email him. That's the one to go to. Terrence Williams, another graduate of UNT, another production assistant. We call him the jack of all trades. Jody Reimers, creative production manager. He's the one that actually makes all the graphics here with DallasCowboys.com and does a great job of doing so. Matt Fields, our broadcast technician. He keeps us going and puts out fires every single day. I'm happy to share my Thanksgiving with you guys, but there's my family and my beautiful fiance. We're getting married in May. All Cowboys fans. And then last but not least, Nathaniel Newton, Nathan, and his family as well. Happy Thanksgiving from our family to yours, Cowboys Nation. And of course, we've got to win a game today because the Cowboys at 7-3 taking on the New York Giants at 7-3 as well. What's the key to the game to try and get that win number 8 and take over second place in the NFC East?
Well, to me, it's pretty simple. Force Danny Dimes, as they call him, to be productive with his arm. If we do that, shut down the run, it's a wrap. Kiss the baby. Another W for the Cowboys.
Okay. All right, this is what I'm going to go with. I need 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, turn Danny Dimes into Danny Nickel.
I'm all offense. Wow, fellas, y'all want a miracle. Hey, just be yourself. Dak, just be yourself, man. I like that efficiency. It took me 2 years to get this old Dak back. My rookie Dak, just come on back home, baby. Be you.
He's been great so far. Let's see if he can continue that momentum today against the Giants. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll be back to break down win or lose what happens between the Cowboys and the Giants. It's a 3:30 kickoff on Fox. For Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, and our entire crew, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Once again, happy holidays, everybody. Enjoy the game, enjoy the food, enjoy the football. We'll see you afterwards on DallasCowboys.com.